Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome turnout. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks to the members of the press as well. I'm Congresswoman Cheri Bustos, and I'm in my hometown right now. This is where I grew up. Obviously, I do not represent this area. I'm hoping very soon Betsy Dirksen Londrigan will be representing this area. Yes. And actually, we go so far back. I mean, we probably, our family knew your mom and dad before you were ever born. I know Senator Durbin likes to say that he's known Betsy since she was a bump. Meaning, he was close friends with her mother and father. So, but we're here today to talk about pre-existing conditions, Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid, and exactly what's happening out in Washington and why Betsy Dirksen Londrigan is part of the solution. Here's what we saw coming, and here is what is happening in actuality. The Republicans in Washington passed a tax scam that gives 83% of the benefits to the top 1% in this nation. All right, so it did not receive a single Democratic vote, and there's good reason why it didn't receive a single Democratic vote, because it didn't do what we know is helpful to working families. And what we saw coming was this, that we knew that this would lead to the debt increasing by $1 trillion, close to $1 trillion just over the last year. And Paul Ryan had been saying, Speaker Paul Ryan had been saying leading up to this, that at some point he wanted to go after entitlements. I don't like that word entitlements, because the way I look at Medicare and Social Security is that is what these people, many of these people standing behind us, that's what they've paid into for their entire careers. And they've paid into those programs, and they deserve to have the programs that have been promised to them. So all of a sudden, 83% goes the top 1% in the nation. All of a sudden, we've got this $1 trillion plus debt. And now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, the debt's out of control. We've got to go after entitlements. So just 2 weeks ago now, Mitch McConnell jumped on that bandwagon as well. And publicly, couldn't even believe that he publicly did this, but said the exact same thing. Well, now all of a sudden, Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans, along with Paul Ryan and the House Republicans, want to go after Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid. So what we're here to say is that I will fight every day to make sure that the people standing behind us and other seniors will receive the benefits that they have been promised. We need Betsy Dirksen Londrigan to join us out in Washington, D.C., so we will have an additional vote on that as well, because as long as Democrats are in the minority, and we are by a 23-vote margin, we will not be able to stop what Paul Ryan is saying he will do, what Mitch McConnell is saying he will do. So that is why in 8 days this election is critically important. And if we want to add on top of that, not just the Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, but also the importance of protecting people and families who have pre-existing conditions. And I want Betsy to be able to go into a little bit more of that, but critically important also, and exactly what that costs a family. Let's ask for a show of hands real quickly. Anybody have anybody in their family without, I mean, look at your extended family that does not have a pre-existing condition? Anybody have? Okay. So everybody's got some kind of pre-existing condition in their family. So so all of these folks behind us, their families would be on the receiving end of having to pay more for their insurance or being blocked from receiving insurance for their families. So again, 8 days, critically important. If there's a message that I hope the news media gets out to folks in and around Springfield, is the importance of voting. Early voting goes all the way through November 5th, and actually the election day is on November 6th, and we need everybody to make sure that they show up and vote. And with that, I would like to turn this over to my good friend Betsy Dirksen Londrigan, who in 8 days, we hope we will be in this room celebrating her victory.
Thank you for being here, and thanks to Congresswoman Bustos, who works so hard for us in Washington, D.C., and has never lost touch with her Central Illinois values, so thank you. You know, there's been a lot going on in the media, and I think it's really important for us to hear again why I'm in this race and what the facts are around things like pre-existing conditions and health care. So let's first, what are pre-existing conditions? What qualifies? Pregnancy, diabetes, asthma, right? There's a whole list of things that qualify as pre-existing conditions. We have almost 300,000 people here in the Illinois 13th Congressional District that have pre-existing conditions. Now, Congressman Davis has said repeatedly that he has supported protecting people with pre-existing conditions, and that is false. He has voted 11 times to eliminate protections for people with pre-existing conditions. He has voted to eliminate them. And his champion health care bill, the AHCA, would have gutted those protections for people with pre-existing conditions. Now, again, this has been fact-checked by the AARP, the Congressional Budget Office, the American Cancer Society. And I want to point out to you that in the last 2 weeks, Congressman Davis's claims have been refuted and fact-checked by 7 organizations. Beginning with today's Washington Post, most recently, said that Davis has been misleading voters about pre-existing conditions because he, quote, apparently believes it is politically advantageous to continue to deceive the voters in their districts. Now, they weighed in after Davis falsely claimed that the Post gave 4 Pinocchios to me for highlighting his record on pre-existing conditions. The Post clarified that never happened and called his comments especially galling because the bill Davis voted for would have resulted in spiraling costs for people with pre-existing conditions. This is the 7th fact check against Rodney Davis's claims. And I believe that our neighbors and our communities deserve better. Yesterday, News Gazette columnist Tom Kasich labeled Davis's statements on pre-existing conditions as, quote, problematic and stretching the truth. Last week, the AARP advised their members to hold congressmen and women like Rodney Davis accountable for the last year's health care bills would have meant skyrocketing premiums for people with pre-existing conditions. I have been very clear about my support for quality, affordable health care. That's what got me into this race, and 60,000 miles later, over 110 public meetings later, I can tell you it's an overarching concern for people throughout the district. People in the 13th district deserve a representative who's going to stand in front of them, listen to them, tell them the truth, and not purposely attempt to deceive them. Now, Social Security and Medicare is something I hear about every day on the campaign trail, and it's why these folks are standing right here, because of pre-existing conditions and because we have to protect Social Security and Medicare. Now, we know they passed that tax bill, and it was a huge giveaway to wealthy people and corporations and special interests. And now they're coming back and they're saying they're going to pay for it by making cuts to earned benefits like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. I'm going to say it once again, not on my watch. So thank you for being here. I'm glad we had the opportunity to clear up some misinformation and make sure that the facts lead. Thank you.